Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, and this is a supercut. If you're new to the podcast and you don't know what a supercut is, it's when we take our conversations about a specific show that have taken place over various podcast episodes, and we cram them all into one supercut so that you can listen to everything you want to know about that show and that season, all in one place. And in this episode, we're talking all about Hacks, Season 4. We started off our conversation about Hacks in episode 102, We Are Cooked. Continuing with HBO Max, or HBO on Max. I don't know how they're phrasing this now.
It's Max.
I don't know how you get, like, you don't...
I feel like every week they change their logo.
I don't know how you don't take advantage of the HBO name,
Max.
in my opinion. Like, I'm not a marketer.
Thank you, Max.
But I feel like you should just drop the Max part and call it HBO. But whatever. What do I know?
Maybe be like, what is Ryan saying on The Office? Woof. That he tried.
I finished the first 3 seasons of Hacks.
And I got to rewatch it again in all its glory.
And then we have also watched the first 3 episodes of the new season 4 that are out. I agree with you. It's a very good show.
It's an excellent show. You had seen a little bits and pieces, some episodes with me, and
yeah.
I feel like you thought it was funny. But now that you've watched it all together and you have that connection with the characters, did those episodes feel differently to you? Now that you know Deborah, you know Ava, you know Marcus, did that come off much
absolutely. Always missing those character development moments, doesn't give you the full scope of the characters.
Yeah.
I am going to be frustrated. Speaking of the season we have now.
Yes.
And the knowledge of we are at least getting a 5th season.
Remember, guys, we are a spoiler podcast. We didn't say that earlier, so oopsie.
That I'm going to be frustrated. I think we've talked about this.
Yes,
if
we did.
Season 5
Not
is
with
the
our viewers,
same
with each
kind
other.
of format that Season 2 and Season 4 are looking to be, which is in conflict with those two, with the two main characters, Ava and Deborah Vance. Because Season 4 so far has been mostly a season 2 conflict on ramped up to 1,000.
So the
right?
season 2 conflict was that Ava had sent out those emails about Deborah. Then even though she took it back because she was very upset and angry about their fight in season 1. So Deborah said she was going to sue her. So there was a little bit of tension. Then Deborah came around, but she'd still make the jokes I'm going to take you for everything you own. And obviously, she didn't sue her at the end. This one was a little bit different because the way season 3 ended was Deborah basically said, she gets the gig to be the late night host. And she told Ava, you're going to be the head writer. And then, of course, Deborah, as usual, got paranoid. What if they take this away from me again? I don't get to have it. Gets in her head. And then screws Ava over, lies to Ava, and says they said they want to go with their guy, but you can be the second in command. Well, Ava sees Helen Hunt's character, who's the network head or something, out and about. And she's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm good. I can be. She's like, oh, I told Deborah she can hire whoever she wants. So it's not only the screwing over, it's the lying. And Ava went scorched earth and basically is extorting Deborah. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Deborah did wrong, but what Ava's doing is not right. So this is a much more elevated conflict, but I agree with what you're saying. I can't take every season of we have the tension, we have the conflict, we get over it, we have growth, and then we fight again. There needs to be some balance.
Yeah.
Those two are always going to, I feel be at odds in some way because they're so alike that they do butt heads. And that's part of the charm of those characters is that you can tell that they are very emotionally connected to each other. And the people, and I'm not saying this they're not romantic. I think, that ship is fun in theory. I don't think it's going to happen. But what I mean by so emotionally connected with their souls is that they are so much alike. They share such that bond and connection, but they can hurt each other more than anybody else. And I think you're seeing that play out. And I really hope that they're going to cool it. And I feel like they are, now they know in catching up in season 4 that basically they were told, hey, this is our last ditch effort or we might have to pull late night altogether. Because, I don't know any of my friends that watch. I think Kaylin does. I think she is devoted to watching Seth. She might be the only one I know. And I don't know if she watches it every night now that she's got the children, the kiddos, or if she DVRs it or what. But most people I know, they only watch it when they see a clip on YouTube. Do you know anybody personally, under the age of 45 that watches late night?
No.
I don't know anybody who watches SNL either. I'll see stuff on my TikTok and I'm oh, that's funny, this skit. But just
if you're out there, let us know.
Let us know. Do you watch this? Let me know your age, your demographic.
But
so they have that. They got to put their personal crap aside, and they have to see what they can do to save the show.
Now that we're several episodes into season 4, I can tell you the trajectory of this season, though. This season ends with that first episode.
I think so too.
And then, so season 5 is going to be maybe a time, maybe a time jump, and we're going to see what's going on extended from here. Yeah. This season is going to be just the run up to the final episode. If I were a writer of the show, and I'm thinking about it myself, if I were going to get real artsy and stupid with it, the last episode of this season would just be the show that goes on TV.
Be so cool.
Nothing else. Like just what we as actual viewers of late night would see from that perspective. Well, I don't know that they'll do that, but that'd be really cool. I don't know if they'll
do that because I'm pretty sure I saw some clips of like Rosie O'Donnell filming like as like herself as like a guest.
Yeah.
I think I read something about that. So maybe she'll be in the last episode. I don't know. Where like Deborah interviews Rosie. I'm pretty sure I read that. Maybe somebody, sometimes people are wrong on Reddit, but I'm pretty sure I read that. I think though that like if the plan really is to get 5 seasons, I think that Deborah and Ava aren't going to continue to argue as fiercely, but I'm not sure we're going to have the conflict. I don't think they're going to be as close as they were in season 3 personally.
No, I agree.
I think they're going to have to, I think that we'll still have I think we'll still have fun Deborah Ava moments.
Yeah.
Like where they're at the spa where she got like her facelift or whatever. I think we'll have some stuff like that, but I'm not sure. One of the things that I like so much about season 3 was how close they got, like the hiking episode.
Right.
I told you that was my favorite episode of season 3. I'm not sure we're going to get that yet in this season if they're planning for a 5, and then maybe we'll mend the relationship, but maybe we won't. I don't know because
I'll tell you right now,
they're so alike.
I still think that what Deborah said, like right now they're coming, the arc is they're coming back together because they've realized they have to.
They have to for their careers.
They've had the talking to from the network head. Now that HR person has to be in the room with them. Like they've had their talking to, and they're going to come together. But at the beginning of this season, at the end of episode 1, when they were at the photo shoot, Deborah said,
scene, though?
I'm never going to forgive you for this, and we might go on for years and years and years. But
she didn't forgive her sister.
But the moment this ride, she said, the moment this ride is over, we are done, and I will never speak to you again.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but I think that is going to be something that we see come out at the end of this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get if we see some shades of that in season 5.
Because it broke my heart when Midge and Susie weren't speaking to each other for a little bit. Because Midge blames Susie and Maisel.
Sorry,
jumping ahead to another comedy show set in another decade. Midge blames Susie for Joel going to jail, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because he kind of fell on the sword. So, but then they eventually did, become friends again in the end, which was nice. Because I felt like obviously, I did sorry. I like Midge and Lenny Bruce. The actors had chemistry off the charts. I don't care that it was historically inaccurate. No, what I'm saying, though, is the love story of that show was Midge and Susie, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimately. And I think the love story of this is, even if it's not romantic, is Ava and Deborah. But that scene that you're referencing, can we just talk about how beautifully acted that was?
That was a great scene.
I feel like Hannah, she is the writer that plays Ava. And she's a writer, I believe, also for this show and in real life. Her acting skills I feel like she's always been a good actress. They have improved, like her face acting, just her eyes and that smile when they were doing that magazine shoot. I feel like this might be, we need to get her an Emmy. I was so impressed by how both of them did that scene, but especially her. It was so good. Now you like Shooter McGavin and Deborah, right? Marty.
If I saw a realistic ship for Deborah, it's with him.
I'm just not sure that Deborah's meant to be.
No, I don't know that that's the show, but certainly of all the male characters in her life, he's the one that sees her most for who she really is, because they had that golf episode.
Oh yeah, from season 3.
Season 3, where she was trying to show off for the network owner, the conglomerate owner, whatever that guy is, but she was playing like she didn't know how to golf, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Because he knows she's better than that.
He knows she's a ball buster.
Yeah. Yeah, so he knew that just was not her, and so like I said, this show is not about the ship.
Please watch Hacks. Even us giving you spoilers right now, it's one of those shows that you need to watch. You need to watch the dynamic between the two, because you Daniel had coming back and forth and knew a little bit, and now that you have the whole you care about it more, you're more invested in these characters. Now, obviously, Severance is still your best thing going, and I think while I love Severance and thought that was one of the best season finales I've ever seen, ultimately where we differ is I'm always going to cling to a little bit more funny even though Severance can be funny too. That's why Hacks is definitely we'll have to see how the season plays out, but it's in my conversation for best thing going. While you might not agree with me, can you see why I would think that?
If we compiled a list of shows that we would say these are the ones that are in the running for the best thing going, and you put Hacks on the list, I have zero argument against you on why you would add that at least to a short list for sure.
All right,
no question.
I'm looking forward to more Hacks.
We continued to talk about Hacks in episode 103, Go See a Star War.
Anyways, you want to talk about something current?
Sure, we've got 2 shows we're watching. I don't know that we have much to say about either of them. You want to go with Hacks first?
I was going to go with the other, but we'll do Hacks.
Okay, let's do Hacks first. So I was completely wrong.
Episode 4 or 5? Which
5.
one are we on? Okay.
I was completely wrong.
Totally wrong.
In my prediction that the season was gonna go up to the first show and end there, because this episode they just did the first show.
Yeah.
So I'm done making predictions on where they're gonna go. I'm out. I retire.
What about Deborah's anxiety build up to then? And she's like, I'm not having a panic attack. I'm having a cardiac event. But then I think she went to the doctor and everything was fine. When she's at the doctor at the end of the episode, it's because she was in the club and that guy put like a popper in her face and she hit her head on a bar, which the network's gonna have to talk to her about how she's gonna have to be more careful going out in public. I think that's gonna be
we know she's getting security guards at some point, so
yes. Well, we know too that like with her and Ava, they have the HR person in the room, so the network's gonna put that on her. I think the network's gonna start censoring their jokes a little more. I think the network's going to come down about like, hey, you can't just go out like the two of you used to. So I think that's going to be a lot of our conflict is the network itself. And they know they have that pressure that they have to remain number one. I read a theory that they're going to pull a Conan Leno and they're going to take Deborah off the air at the end of the season. And the guy that she came on to replace is going to get better and he's going to come back. I think that'd be silly if they did that for the show. I wonder personally if they're going to go to a thing where Deborah has wanted this so much. She's wanted redemption for what was taken from her, that she's going to realize, like, maybe I didn't want this at all. And I want to do something else, something different where I'm not being held back. I don't know. What do you think?
I just got done telling you I'm not trying to predict any more of the season because I was just so
Go ahead,
horridly wrong earlier.
Maybe you'll be.
I don't think
right
a Conan situation is right because I feel like if they were going to do that, we would have met that guy already.
Yeah, and I guess
we didn't like even last season when she talked to him, it was just a phone conversation.
Yeah.
So they would be. I think we would need him characterized a little bit more to make him as the villain he would end up being if that were the case. I definitely think that you're onto something there with now that we've gotten past the first episode. I think we're going to see the grind of a daily show and what it takes to actually put that show on 5 nights a week. And I think you're right. I think at some point that toll might start to come and Deborah realize, was this what I actually wanted or this what I thought I deserved? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do like that we got more of that Deborah-Ava dynamic. Somehow they ended up watching the first episode together because she had forgotten to remove Ava from her emergency contact, and they ended up watching it in a hospital waiting room. I liked that.
I like that.
Because they're both proud of the work they're doing, even if they're still at odds. So that was just, and you could tell they so badly wanted to hold each other's hand in that moment, but they're just both resisting. I've seen a thing that's like every season we end with Deborah screwing Ava over somehow or Ava being upset. They're like, what if we end this season if 5 is the last where Ava is the one that's not going to be forgiving or something? I'm like, that would be an interesting shift and it would show character growth for better or for worse for both of those characters. Worse for Ava if she's going to be more like Deborah, maybe some growth for Deborah. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to see it end where they never talk to each other or have a sad ending. I want them to both come around, but I think they're going to have to grow up a little bit, both of them.
No, I agree. The Hacks conversation continued in episode 104, The Righteous Gemstones finale.
Yeah,
Hacks, season 4, episode 5.
We are halfway through the season. There are 10 episodes of Hacks. Another show I would have liked 12. And that was a tough episode to watch.
Yeah, it really was.
If you're team Ava, Deborah, at least their connection relationship. Again, not romantic, but just I felt like we had kind of peeled it back a little bit, and we were starting to get some, like we had made some progress in terms of mending their relationship, and now I feel like it's so thrown far back. Ugh. And this time, Ava is the one I'm a little bit more upset with. But I mean,
she was a little bit more of the provocateur in this case.
Honestly, when you've been burned so many times, what you gonna do? So our whole arc now is network. What are we gonna do for the network? The network wants this. They need to get ratings. They go to a focus group. I could never stand to be in a focus group because I would absolutely do what Deborah did, and I would absolutely do what Leslie Knope did. I would none of the positives would hit me. I would just focus absolutely on every single negative thing. Like, tell Ron I'm really good at bowling.
Yeah.
Like, it would not be great for me. Anytime I get some type of, let's say I get like a 98 on like a test, like when I was in school, I'd be like, well, why'd you deduct 2 points? Please tell me what I did wrong and how I can improve. I'm in therapy.
All right.
Anyway, one of them criticized Deborah's hair, so she puts on the worst extensions I've ever seen for a cooking segment. I guess that mom they did, that dance mom they brought into, was like a real TikTok person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they spoofed. So they're trying to like appeal to a demographic, and Ava's friends get in her head.
Yeah.
About it because they're off doing some project, and I think Ava's having a realization like you're not going to maybe get to do the highbrow stuff you want to do when you're the head writer on a network late night show, that you're going to have to strike that balance. It can't be all like pretentious.
You have to appeal to a network TV wide audience,
like it or not.
Yeah,
you're going to have mass humor appeal to everybody. I thought Jimmy Kimmel played himself well.
That was really funny. That was.
I would love to get more comedians on there.
That was maybe the funniest thing of the episode, was when Jimmy just shows up out of nowhere to threaten her.
Yeah, because Deborah tried to take Kristen Bell. Stalked Kristen Bell.
That was really funny. And they probably aren't going to, but I think it would be really funny if they got Fallon and they got Colbert to show up to do similar things to threaten her.
I want Conan to show up, since they keep referencing the Conan debacle that we all live life. Team Conan forever, by the way.
Yeah, Team Conan forever.
Go, baby. So Ava's got in her head about that. Deborah, that could be their ship name.
Oh, Deborah.
Deborah is going back to her QVC ways about wanting to give the people what they want. Like, she's so scared to death she's going to lose this show. She wants that. So they both are wrong in that aspect of how they're treating it. But this is where I did agree with Deborah a little bit, because even Jimmy and Kayla were telling Ava, like, hey, we got to get this TikTok person on here. That's what people think is funny. You gotta appeal what is it, like the moms.
Yeah, and it went really well on the episode when they did it, and that made Ava even worse.
And then Ava did try to take out the wine o'clock joke, which I did think was stupid, and put her own joke in there, and Deborah just completely was like, no. And then they had a little argument. Literally, they're gonna have to get it in check. Like, because that was in front of a live audience there, which I think you have to, like, surrender your phones for stuff like that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. So it's not going to get out that way. I think, and I do think you sign like NDAs when you go to filming. Maybe not for that. I'm sure you do. I know you do for like Bachelor live shows. You sign NDAs and stuff. But their little HR person that had been following them around trips and falls, busts her mouth open, and finally just unleashed on both of them. And was like, "You are both horrible." So they're gonna have to figure something out. They're the type that when they work together, it's great. When they're at odds, it's toxic and horrible for everybody around them. And when they were out to dinner, Ava is in a throuple situation, something like that. Deborah sees her, and Deborah's just being Deborah, kind of making fun out of it, but then was like, I'm going to order dessert from the table. Let's hang out. And I feel like Deborah was actually trying to just have a nice time, and that's where Ava was like, oh, we just work together.
Yeah. Deborah was trying, I think, a little bit, and that's Ava just wasn't having it.
And for somebody like Deborah, that's just going to make it even harder for them next time you heard her like that again. And I know they say they have a 5th season planned, but this season is rough.
Yeah.
It's rough for the people, but at the same time, they are putting that realism in there. If you had such a fallout like they did at the end of season 3, that's probably how it would have played out. I need my girls to at least have a breather, to come together, to their best. They're at their best when they work their magic together. But I don't know if this late night show is that. And I think that might be the arc of the season. I don't know.
I agree. I would not be surprised if the end of this season is that Deborah not on the show anymore.
So, not on the late night show.
Not on the late night show anymore, yeah. And we wrapped up talking about Hacks Season 4 in episode 106, Resting Nice Face. Well, with that out of the way, we do have some television shows that I watched with you.
Yes.
First up here on the agenda is actually a season finale.
Yes.
Hacks, Season 4, final episode.
Yes.
And it was kind of a anticlimactic kind of episode, but we've talked about it, and I think we both agreed it was necessary because otherwise this would have had to have been the first episode of season 5, and that wouldn't have worked really well, I don't think.
And I feel like, just to catch the listeners up, I don't think we've talked about Hacks the last couple podcasts because we wanted to save it for the end. So I think the last time we spoke on Hacks, Ava and Deborah were still at odds. They were able to put that behind them.
Yep,
Ava had a massive crash out. Deborah realized basically that she had been being a horrible person and that she wouldn't be where she was without Ava. So their fences were mended. We have them, they're back on track. They're like, let's write the show for each other. I mean, I might have already said that in a previous podcast. I don't remember. Who knows? And I'd say the episode before the finale was the big one.
Yeah. What happened was
catch him up to that.
So what happened was Helen Hunt's character, who was like the executive over the channel, had been
Wendy was
Wendy had been really on Deborah to come up with like her carpool karaoke equivalent, right? Which we find out later, Wendy thought that was a dumb idea too, but that's just what you got to do, right?
You got to play the game when you work for
so
a big
she's
network.
so tough on it that Deborah ends up running into
Bob
Litka, who owns the studio. Or he's the CEO of everything, of the whole big conglomerate. And she complains to Bob about Wendy, about that specific situation. Turn it around, and suddenly the next thing we know, Wendy's been fired, and Bob has taken over.
And I don't think Deborah wanted that to happen.
I don't think that was the result Deborah was looking for, but she also didn't seem like she was that upset by it.
Yeah, agree. She was very Deborah about it, like, oh, well.
So then the next episode, we're seeing the studio. Bob Litka has had them bring on a guest that's got some problematic issues that Ava is definitely against. Deborah's not necessarily totally against it, but she does in the taping of the show ask him a question that his agents come back and say, "Hey, we'd really like to cut that," because apparently
I always thought late night show was like live. It's not. It's pre-taped. I don't know why stupidly. I just always thought they were all up that late, and I guess they're on the West Coast, so like they're not that late. But what do they do it like in the afternoon? They do the tapings, and that's how it is for all of them, unless it's a live show, which we'll get to in a minute.
So that brings us to the live show. Deborah was doing a live after the Oscars show,
which was huge because they had gone to number one. They're the number one late night show. You got to put in that detail. Like they were successful.
Bob also told Deborah to fire Ava.
And why because it turned out Ava saw her old coworkers at a bar and kind of mentioned, which they were already doing a hit piece on this particular actor that had problematic text anyway. And Ava, being Ava, just opened her mouth about it.
And it sprung them into a censorship conversation.
Exactly.
And that's what led to Deborah tricked Ava into being out of the studio so she wouldn't be able to stop her.
I was nervous.
And on live TV, Deborah just lays out the studio head. I keep saying studio head because I've got another show in my head. The executive to on live air,
network,
right? And then a couple other people conspire to keep it on the air for long enough for her to get most of her message out. She, of course, is fired.
Ava's watching this from the security thing because they had Ava's badge and everything terminated. Deborah basically said, "This has been my dream job, but this is what's going on." It was a baller move.
Which leads us to our final episode of the season, where Deborah basically, her contract says if she gets fired, she has a non-compete for 18 months,
which is a very normal thing, and even like regular people's line of works. Like I know that I've had to ask people before, like, do you have a non-compete? When it comes to like professional things, like that's an actual thing that regular people
it shouldn't be
have.
But I'm not going to get political.
You're not going to get, but it is a thing that exists for all. And you would think that They did address that. They're like, did you not read your contract? She's like, well, I thought I was never going to have another job again because I finally got my dream job.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't read this contract, because reading contracts and litigation was always something that like Deborah was into. So I remember making a comment to you like, that's weird to me that she wouldn't have read that. But so they clarified that. And okay, so here we go. Last episode, the episode before that, episode 9 was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it ended with them like literally like Thelma Louising it, like leaving the studio together, and Bob Lipka at their car being like, hey, you're finished, lady. So we had all that intensity, and then we pick up right with the fallout, and we have Deborah super depressed.
Yep. She's visited a million different lawyers to try
Vegas.
and find her way out of that contract, but nobody can.
You know what my favorite part of just showcasing how depressed Deborah was?
Yeah.
So they're back in Vegas. I don't even think we saw her with the fountain pop. She always does the fountain Diet Cokes. It was just her thing. It's the thing that was highlighted in season 1. So it's just, if you're a watcher of the show, you know that's a thing. And I look at you and I went, oh my gosh. I was like, she's drinking bottled Diet Coke. Yeah. She didn't go in because she's like in a convenience store, and she didn't get the fountain pop. She got just a bottle. So like, it's just little details that writers sprinkle in like that I really like. But then they decide, they're like, she talks to him. We see Marty again. Have we seen him?
Well, if we saw him this season, it was early, but I don't think we have.
Mayor.
Yeah, I don't think we have. Marty convinces her to go to Hawaii, to one of his resorts.
To chill,
She decides to bring Ava along with her, except they don't actually go to Hawaii. She takes her to Singapore because Deborah has found her own workaround from the contract, which is that she can, through a translator, do her comedy in a Singapore casino equivalent.
Yeah.
And she starts doing that, and she's really, her jokes are her old stuff.
Yeah, and Ava's down for it at first.
Yeah,
and they have a montage of them having fun, but you slowly start to see Ava's character kind of break, and you see Deborah's character just drinking more, phoning it in, falling asleep on stage. So while she's doing this because she feels the need to work, it's not fulfilling her.
Yeah.
And then they almost had me. Why don't you tell us what happened?
I didn't believe it. I did not believe this for 1 second. But so Deborah and Ava have a fight. It's not nearly as big of a fight as what they've had in the past.
It wasn't their normal fight.
But Ava decides she's going to go back to the States.
Yeah.
And so she goes to her room. And when she wakes up, she's got like a million phone calls. And she finally gets on the phone with Deborah's agent. And she's
Jimmy.
like, can you check on Deborah? Because TMZ just published a post that she is dead. And they went deep into very serious music, and Ava like longingly running through the hallway. And like, they were working real hard from a production value standpoint to make you think this could actually be true, only to have, when Ava gets to her hotel room and starts knocking on the door,
and Deborah's like, what?
Deborah's alive. Yeah.
She's basically just like hungover, laying in bed. You know why I think when I am really emotionally invested in a show, it's easier for a show to trick me, because some of my walls that I have built up with other shows are down. But I also could see, I'm like, what if, season 5, I think, was announced like 2 days before the finale aired. And I'm like, what if they make season 5 about, because I think they're still going to need to. Like, at some point, Ava's going to have to really strike out on her own, I feel like, to be very satisfying for us. Like, obviously, the point of the show is her relationship with Deborah, but I'd also like to see Ava grow some in a different way, like, and be comfortable on her own. So I thought, well, I was like, that's a bold move. What if they're really doing this? But I should have known better. And then it took Deborah reading her, like, obit or whatever that TMZ put up, to kind of, sometimes I think Deborah is the classic, like, narcissistic type of person that sometimes it takes just a real kick in the butt to kind of shake you out of a funk. And it took that for her to be like, this isn't, because they said in the obit that she killed Late Night.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going to be remembered for that. She's like, let's pack in, let's get to work, let's go. So I think we're led to believe that at least a couple months had passed by that they were in Singapore. I don't think like the full 18 months.
I don't know.
But, maybe a few months, few months.
Ava says at one point, we've been here for a couple months or something. So, yeah. So time passed, but not the full 18 months. So I fully expect season 5 to pick up still in the 18-month period. Maybe a little closer to the end of it.
Kind of like what material, what their next move is.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. And I think you and I, at first, we had that initial reaction of, wow, that was a really just kind of like anticlimactic, like you said, kind of just slow finale compared to the previous episode, but it fits. Because as a viewer, I liked seeing that fall out, and I would that means that we can start season 5 not from that depressive funk place. Not that she won't still be depressed, but
I think she's mad now.
Yeah, now she's fired up, she's mad, and I think it's just going to be a little bit more driven, and I think that's a really good way to pick up for the new season, because even when shows pick up on the next day, when you're waiting months to see a show like we are, us as viewers might be like, oh, she should be over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because time has passed for us, it's hard for us to, and I'm not saying, when I say us, I don't mean like the two of us. I just mean like viewers in general that are watching these shows. So I thought that was a really good move.
All right. That they did that. Question for you.
Yes.
So we have recently declared Severance. Okay. Recently, we have shaken up our stuff a little bit, and I have declared Severance as the best thing going. You have in the past said that this show could be up there for your best thing going.
It is.
Are you willing to say here and now that we are in a split decision on the best thing going right now?
Yes. And I'm not saying that I don't disagree that Severance has every right to be in the best thing going. I just think for me, I'm always going to be the type where I can respect what they do in Severance. I like a funnier show, and I think that's kind of why the first couple episodes of Hacks was hard for me to get through, because that fight just felt more intense.
Right.
Also, I watched Hacks differently than I had on previous seasons. I had to do the weekly release, which I think makes the feud stretch out longer. And this feud with them felt just more intense and personal than it ever had before. So it was stressful to me as somebody who really likes the relationship of these two characters. So I do really think Severance is an amazing show. I hope we don't have to wait forever for the next season. But my style and type of TV that I enjoy watching is more what Hacks gives me. And I feel like this show is a beautiful depiction of characters, but not over the top. They still very much feel like themselves, even when they disappoint you. But it also blends humor and drama really well. And I just really enjoy it. So for me, it would be Hacks. Now, originally, they always said they had a plan for 5 seasons. They've since said they might not. They might do more. And I read into that article a little bit. I can't criticize people for the Lilo and Stitch thing without actually reading into context myself. And basically, they said they have a plan that the way they want to end the story. But if for some reason they need more episodes to finish that story instead of cramming them in, that might be a reason why they would do more. Because I don't think, while it wins awards, Daniel, I don't think it's one of the heavy hitters for Max. Like, I think that like most people assume because it cleaned up at the awards, it was probably going to get a season 5, but it's not bringing in the numbers that Gemstones brought in, or like White Lotus by any stretch, or even The Last of Us. It's nowhere near those type of viewership numbers, I'm pretty sure. So for now, I'm going to go with Hacks as my
there you have it, folks. We are a split decision in the house. If you're not familiar, if you're newer here, if you're not familiar, the best thing going is how we kind of kicked this podcast off and declaring a show as the best thing going. And I think this is the first time we've been a split decision on the best thing going. Usually we've been in alignment, but right
I've
now...
I've always had backups. But
right now, I think, for me it's Severance, for you it's Hacks.
I mean, what do you think about Hacks? I told you that I still think Severance is like a brilliantly done show, but I gave my reason why I would pick Hacks over it. What are your thoughts on Hacks?
I think Hacks is excellent. It's well written. It's funny, but it's got the dramatic elements. It's absolutely a great show. Just for me, when it comes to the best thing going, Severance is just there, taking up all of my mind space whenever I think about it, trying to understand what may or may not happen in the next season. So that's kind of how I judge the best thing going. And that's all the Supercut we've got for you this week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.